Welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Yunwei, executive in the UKEC's Careers Office, and I will be your MC. So, for this session, we have with us the representatives from Maybank, who will be talking to us on the upcoming tech, trends, and talents. And this session will be moderated by Winnie. So, if you are updating today's event on any of your social media accounts, be it Snapchat, Instagram, or even Facebook, do tag us at UKEC or at Graduan or hashtag CF2021, as we'd love to see them. So without further ado, I'll pass the floor over to Winnie to kickstart this webinar.
Thank you very much, Yinwei. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Malaysian Virtual Career Fair 2021, organized by UKEC and Graduan in collaboration with Maybank. My name is Winnie, and I am a Global Maybank apprentice who will be your moderator for today's session. Before we proceed any further, I would like to remind you that any and all questions that you may have throughout the session can be posted in the chat feature on this website, which will be addressed during the open Q&A session. This session is conducted with Maybank on the topic of what's next, tech, trends, and talents. Technological advancements has enabled a world of digitalization in the 21st century that spares no industries, including the banking and financial services sector. While we may enjoy digital features introduced by financial institutions such as a seamless mobile banking experience within the touch of your fingers, cashless transactions, and transactions reflected in real time without delays, it does not keep us from wondering exactly what else will dawn upon us in the coming days. Be it the next great technology that will revolutionize some aspect of our lives, setting the next trend in the market, or the changing talents that will be required to drive the future. With all these questions in mind, I'm pleased to invite our panel of speakers from Maybank, which will include the Head of Digital Strategy from Group Strategy, Lionel Ho, followed by the Head of Digital Innovation and Strategy from Virtual Banking and Payments, Kenneth Lim, Head of Digital Banking and Banking Technology from Group Technology, Miraj Khan, and finally, a Global Maybank apprentice currently undergoing his rotation in Strategic Digital, Sukhdev Malhi. We will begin today's session by getting to know our speakers a little better. Lionel, let's start with you. Please introduce yourself to all of us here today.
Okay, hi everybody. Good evening from wet KL. And I don't know what the temperature is like in UK, but I think it should be quite cold still. It's been hot and muggy here. So I'm Lionel. I saw the title just now, so I'll skip that bit. But basically, I will sort of describe what my role is and how I feel that it's valuable to the industry as a whole. But firstly, I want to thank a few people in Maybank, Michael Fong, Dato Farid, Dato Nora, and Alvin Lau for their trust in me. So I help the group in three main areas. Firstly, I am a sort of a sensing function, i.e. I help the group and the board understand oncoming trends, regulatory developments, and market moves with regards to digital. Secondly, I help clarify and contextualize digital strategies that enable Maybank as a group to better communicate with its stakeholders, whether employees, customers, shareholders, or regulators. And thirdly, I help manage and instill good governance in a small portion of the group's strategic investments in the digital arena. So if done well, the three areas above help the Maybank Group be clear on the outcomes it's trying to achieve in digital, thereby avoiding potentially wasteful and distracting forays into hype areas. That's not to say that we don't change our minds. In fact, there are many things which should be explored or developed. To us, it's always a question of whether and if viable, when. I believe our work also helps us better understand our strategic partners, like Grab, and foster collaborative digital ecosystems that create value for our stakeholders rather than fight aggressive competitions that race to zero. So in short, greater clarity leads to greater focus and superior execution. That's my role in a nutshell. Thanks.
Thank you, Lionel. That sounds really interesting. Next, can we please have Kenneth, our second panelist, to tell us a little bit more about himself, please?
Hi guys, good evening or good morning to everybody. My name is Kenneth and I lead the digital innovation and strategy team within virtual banking and payments. And I also continue to facilitate digital partnerships between a division called Strategic Digital. So just a little bit of color about these two divisions. Virtual banking and payments is basically the digital business of Maybank. So we look after platforms such as MTU, the web and the app version, and even the business version of our online banking. We also look at payments like your QR pay, your bill payments, and even down to money transfers like remittances. So basically, Strategic Digital, which is the other division which I operate in, that division looks at future-proofing our banking business, building platforms and products that could somehow be a way of banking in the future, not like what we know today, as you have all seen how much banking has progressed over the years. So from an innovation standpoint, what I do is I look into areas for potential innovation, whether it's through integration, technology, or partnerships. I also monitor markets for new customer trends, behaviors, and also upcoming technology, which we could leverage or take advantage to. And I also play a role during the design stage of some of our products and enhancements. And from a strategy standpoint, I actually watch existing market trends and carve out a strategy as to how we can take advantage of these trends so that we can continue to remain relevant with our customers. Ultimately, our mindset is always about how do we continuously drive financial inclusivity, digital and financial literacy, and ultimately we want to be able to democratize financial services for our customers and users.
Thank you, Kenneth. That is actually really exciting, seeing as the different products that you have been in charge of will revolutionize the industry and our banking experience. And next, can we also have Miraj? Please introduce yourself to us.
Hi everyone. Good morning to all those joining from UK. My name is Miraj. I head the digital banking technology for Maybank Group. In my role, I'm responsible for managing the delivery and operations for all digital platforms that spans across all our geographies, segments, as well as products. Basically, in short, I'm responsible for translating the vision set by our M25 statement into reality by executing the various technology projects. There are two parts to the role. Trying and making sure the operations run smooth for the 15 million customers that we have. That itself is a very challenging ask. It throws up problems and challenges which I can safely say no other bank in Malaysia has to face. So it's an exciting opportunity there itself. Apart from this, Maybank is transforming at a rapid pace. We are really transforming from being a typical bank to more of a bank which can offer lifestyle solutions. And that also means the pace of delivery that's expected out of technology is just next speed. And in that area, I'm responsible to make sure the projects run on time. We use the cutting edge technology, we continuously evolve, keep up to pace with the changes surrounding us, keep competing with the global players that are trying to venture into Malaysian market. We dabble into emerging technology. We do have a great effort going on the digital engineering side. Of course, the analytics is another area that we have to keep working on. So those are the broad progresses.
Miraj? Okay, it's okay. I think we will hear more from Miraj when he dials in again and reconnects into the line. But for now, I think it's what he said is actually really exciting, seeing as Maybank is leading the changes in the banking and financial services sector in Malaysia, competing not only locally, but also globally. Finally, let us have our final panelist for today's session, which is Sukhdev. Please tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Hi everyone. Yeah, my name is Sukdev, and it is an immense. It's quite exciting to be here today. Just because just a couple of years ago, like 2-3 years ago, I was exactly in your shoes. Going to Graduan, looking at what employers have to offer, and now I'm on the other side, trying to talk about Maybank and trying to talk about my experience here so far. Yeah, so I actually just recently graduated back in 2019. I studied in London. So I've had quite a good degree of exposure in the sense that I got to rotate in very interesting departments around the bank. And one of them is the department that I'm currently in, which is strategic digital. I'm currently in the data analytics team of strategic digital, where we primarily assist the product teams and also try to pioneer data-driven solutions to be implemented in the platforms that we want to offer to our consumers, be it May, M2U, or whatever it is that, that's our bread and butter in the digital space. So given that, we are the biggest bank in Malaysia and one of the largest banks in Southeast Asia, there's really no excuse for us to not be able to tailor our digital products to our customers' very specific needs or specific wants. And I think one of the biggest things that we want to do this year is want to come up with solutions that can increase or improve access to banking and financing. Because as a lot of you know, we have a huge issue with the unbanked and underbanked population in ASEAN. And we think that is definitely something in our sights. Like, for example, opening a bank account. Look in a couple of years ago, it was virtually impossible for you to actually open an account without visiting a physical location, without visiting a bank. But now with May, we've managed to tackle that very large barrier to entry or barrier for a person to open up an account. And we want to continue with that spirit to develop more products and more services that aim to improve accessibility to all these services. And we're also looking out to see how we can be better, be more efficient, and be more reliable as a bank. Everything we do and think, from the products themselves and to the design and how it's presented to users, have always been customer first. And given the fact that we are facing growing competition, now that Bank Negara has announced the digital banking licenses, it means that we really need to step up our game and go beyond what other players are offering to the market. And I echo Kenneth's sentiments in the sense that, we really need to step it up. And I think 2021 is going to be a big year for us. And yeah, we really can't wait to show you what we've been working on. Thanks, Vinny.
Okay, thank you, Sukdev. So I think we know now that that the digital arena in Maybank is not small, and we are very fortunate today to have a panel of speakers contributing perspectives and opinions from different aspects of digitalization. So I also see that Maraj is back, so I'm sure that he will have more to share with us in the subsequent in the next few questions. So now that we have gotten to know our panelists better, we will now move on to ask them a few moderated questions on today's topic, which will be followed by an open Q&A session. If you have any questions for our panelists today, do post your questions in the chat box and it will be addressed during the Q&A session. Your question may be directed to a particular panelist or to the panel in general. Without further ado, let us begin with our first moderated question to our panel. Okay. So our first question is, tell us more about your current role in a bank, which I think we've heard a little earlier. So how does it fit in or add value to the banking and financial services sector? Can we please have Lionel to take this question first?
I think I answered that already. But to recap, I mean, in my role, like I said, greater clarity means greater focus and therefore superior execution. Actually, I'm not sure. I haven't answered fully. Sorry. Yeah, I haven't addressed this particular one. How does it add value? I think there's that first part about clarity is very important because it allows us to not do too many things, right? I think in digital there's a temptation to try everything, and in reality, even a place like Maybank, which people assume to have unlimited resources, is not particularly accurate because resources like time and expertise and focus are very rare. Everybody here maybe doesn't have the experience yet of working in a corporate environment, but if you look at Maybank and you assume that there's infinite time and infinite money, it's gravely mistaken. So we have to make very clear choices about what we do and when we do them. I also wanted to touch on the how good strategy and lean back view of a broader perspective allows us to partner with people like Grab and other ecosystem providers, and by partnering with ecosystems like that and working together, collaborating, it's no longer a zero-sum game, but it's a net additive game. And by doing that, we hope that we create value constantly for the customers and our stakeholders, rather than engaging in competitions to zero. So we hope that having that clarity allows us to deliver better customer experience, very high quality products and services, and create lasting value for customers.
Thank you, Lionel. So thank you for giving us such a realistic view of how things actually work in the real world, even though many people actually think that, we have unlimited resources, as you've mentioned, and we can do anything that we want to. That is not true, as what Lionel has mentioned. So what about you, Kenneth? Please tell us how your role adds value to the banking and financial services sector.
Okay. From our organization standpoint, my role is to weave in innovation into each of the products that we have, whether it's at the design stage or whether it's at the development stage, or whether it's related to a certain business model. Now, innovation is not something where it's just technology, it's just product, it's big bang projects, but innovation is also a mindset. How do we do things differently, and whether or not whatever we do today, is it still relevant for us to continue pursuing? So I'll give you an example. When we talk about first principles, right? It's always about, okay, so I'll give a problem statement. With regards to opening a bank account, right? Previously, there were so many steps, including document submission, including KYC at the branches, but with technology today, we were faced with two challenges or two options. Should we digitize this process, which means just transforming everything into a digital format, or do we look to digitalize the entire customer onboarding process, which means taking out the fat, taking out processes that may not be relevant, right? And really delivering to the customer the most seamless customer journey ever. So looking at it from just a principle, which is account opening, and then reimagining the entire process. So that's where I come in to sort of give that different perspective, to weave in new innovations or technology into a specific problem statement in the bank. On top of that, I also look to a bigger picture in terms of driving financial inclusivity, and also, more importantly, besides financial literacy, also digital literacy. How to use online platforms to get your banking products and services. How to be able to, for instance, operate in terms of your in a tool, right? Or how do you use specific features on our mobile banking app to grow your financial standing, for instance, like an automated expense tracker or like a micro savings module? How do you use that to improve your financial standing and also to govern the way you manage money? So that's basically my role, and I hope whatever I do in the bank leaves an impact on the industry, especially the people, our customers, so that we're not stuck in that debt cycle, right? So people can manage their finances better, and everybody can live a more fulfilling life and not be caught in debt.
Kenneth. So given that Lionel has mentioned that we have limited resources, and you have mentioned that we have to make the right choices, and every choice has its own consequences and trade-offs, it is important to be able to make the right decisions and think it through before we execute something. Okay, so next, let us also hear a little bit more about from Miraj. Please tell us about how your role adds value to the banking and financial services sector.
Yeah, hi. Sorry, Murphy just played a trick on me. I've never had Wi-Fi related issues in Singapore. but seems like it's just the right timing. So yeah, I'll just quickly cover the brief. I head the digital banking technology. I am responsible for managing the delivery and operations of digital platforms across the Maybank Group that covers all the markets that we operate, covering all the segments and also across all products. I'm basically responsible to translate the vision set by M25 and the challenges thrown by our business. We have to execute it and make sure that it becomes a reality. So that's what the role entails, and that's how I mean the technology group brings value. We have to deal with the fast changing pace of technology. Literally, technology is changing every year. There's a new framework, there's a new platform, or there's a new programming language, and we have to continuously catch up to the advancements. So there's a lot to learn in the process, and also by being responsible for operating the platforms for the largest bank in Malaysia. What it means is we are thrown up with numerous challenges along the way. Dealing with 15 million customers, a lot of active user base, transactions per second hovering around 500 TPS, sometimes reaching to a peak of 1000 TPS. The learning is immense. So we have to solve problems differently than many other banks in Malaysia. We have to focus a lot more on engineering. So there's a lot of focus on digital engineering. What does it take to build platforms which can auto scale, platforms that can keep pace with the growing customer demands? So there's a lot of focus on the engineering activities. There's also a lot of work that goes in exploring newer technology, so that we are not surprised by technology. As Maybank, we are always ready to adopt the latest technology. So we have an emerging technology group where we explore the latest and the greatest technology all the time. Not necessarily that everything needs to be brought back into the mainstream, but we keep ourselves up to date on that front, right? Then, of course, there is a digital delivery focus where we have to deliver to the functional needs of our customers. We need to deliver the capabilities back through the mobile banking app or the internet banking. Suffice to say, the pace of change is immense because we are transforming from a bank which has been dealing with traditional products to a bank which offers lifestyle. So that keeps us on our toes in technology, because we have to match the pace at which business thinks. Apart from that, we have to do a lot of work on the analytical front, especially around digital operations and statistical analytics or machine learning models. We do a lot of work around customer engagement activities, a lot of work around digital identities, and basically a mega information platform where we have to deal with millions and millions of customer records. So in short, that's how we bring value in group tech. We kind of are the interface, right, to our customers. They see the app, they transact through the app. The information captured from the customer's handset actually flows through the various systems to make sure the experience that the customer gets at the end of it, right, is a pleasant experience. So yeah, I think I'm glad to be part of Maybank, where we have got a lofty vision. We want to be the digital bank of choice and keep competing with the greatest and the best out there. And it offers a very unique challenge for the technology group within Maybank. On one side, I mean, always there's an example that the GCTO quotes, right? We have to modernize the aeroplane while the plane is flying. That's the challenge, which is a dual challenge which some of the startups and the fintechs don't face. And that throws up a very unique learning opportunity which you won't get elsewhere. So I really find it an exciting place to build a fantastic career around.
Thank you, Miraj. I especially love your analogy. I think it is extremely apt given our context. And I think it is true. Even though we are said to be in the digital era, it's the 21st century, there are still many different things that we are learning every day and many different challenges that we continue to face. Okay, finally, can we also have Sukdev to tell us a bit more about what he does, and also how his work will impact the banking and financial services sector. So Dev, over to you.
Yeah, so as I've mentioned previously, the kind of work I do has been very data driven. And for example, so I'll just give you an example to like preface or to like at least to preface it to you guys. So basically, for example, the problem that we have very often in the bank or with any traditional bank is that sometimes you don't have enough information on your customers or enough his financial history on some of your bankies and people who bank with you, and that makes it very hard for them to get access to like very traditional means of financing. So one of the biggest like sort of like data driven efforts that we want to do is to see whether or not using other data that we have on you to see whether or not they can be a good substitute or a reliable substitute to see whether or not you are a reliable borrower or you are a reliable person for us to lend money to. I think that will definitely improve access to banking, access to financial services. And it really helps, again, at the end of the day, with our whole concerted effort to give access to banking to all these people. It really helps them because then, a lot of doors are now open for them with the access of, microfinancing services like this. And I think data plays a very important part, and the way in which we interpret the data, the way in which we model them is also extremely important for us to achieve all of these things. Yeah, thanks, Vinny.
Okay, thank you, Subdev. So I think that what Subdev says is also very true. It's important now that with the technological advancement, we tend to make decisions based on data, and sometimes even though we have existed as a bank for over 60 years, there are cases where we have insufficient data and we have to find our way through that. Okay. Let's move on to our next question, which is how has technological advancement in the digital era transformed the world, and how did the bank adapt to these changes? Okay, can we please have Kenneth to take this question first?
Okay, sure. I think what's important is to acknowledge the three foundational drivers of technology and advancement first. You have greater internet speed today. You have a greater processing power as well, and cheaper smartphones. I'm sure a lot of you wouldn't have been around when you have the days of the ICQ, IRC, and dial-up internet connectivity. So we've progressed very, very far along the way, but these three drivers have actually given rise to technology, to very much advanced technology today. And I think one of the most prominent ones is the ability to build apps. Right, and that has changed the way the bank interacts with the customer today, right? So from being able to leverage on these three key drivers, what we see is we're able to deploy our products and services in a fully digital format. And what Sukhdev mentioned, we're able to then consume the data, we're able to model the data and to leverage on machine learning to give our customers almost instant credit decisioning as well. On top of that, we're also able to build other verticals within the bank. So as we go beyond banking, like what Miraj has just said, we're looking to offer services that go beyond what a typical bank would usually provide our customers. For instance, the ability to buy your transportation tickets, your movie tickets, the ability to buy, let's say, a bus ticket, right? So those are some of the services that we've snapped on into our digital platforms to sort of enrich our customers' lives. Secondly, we also see the rise of digital ecosystems, which again are supported by the three tenets of technology growth, right? Where we see GrabFood, we see Foodpanda, we see Lazada, we see Shopee, right? These are all digital ecosystems. And if you were to look at where these guys would be in an earlier format, maybe 10 years, 15 years ago, you would be walking into a physical store. But now, as you continue to buy things online, what has changed is in a physical store, you would pay cash, you would pay cards, right? And you get your product. But today we're starting to embed our financial products and services in all these digital ecosystems so that we're providing the same value, the same service to our customers in terms of financial products and services. I think the third and one of the most interesting part is the ability for us to understand our customer a lot better by leveraging on technology. So like what Sukhdev and the data guys are doing, we're actually looking at new ways to predict what the customer might need or might want in the next stage of their lives. For instance, by consuming your payment behavior, by consuming what products you have today, we might say that, hey, you just got married, right? You might need a housing loan, or you might need a mortgage loan, right? Or you might even need a personal loan to kickstart your future life. So those are some of the angles where technology has changed the way we actually understand the customer. So from being reactive by looking at the customer and trying to interview them and looking at where their life is progressing, we've become more predictive in nature. And what we're able to do on top of that is we're going to be able to build products that make sense for our customers 3, 5, 10 years down the road. I think these are all the 3 parts of where I feel technology has changed the way we do things. And I hope that as we progress and as global connectivity continues to widen, we're able to then embark on new and very exciting product development and services, and really reach out to the customers in ways that no other bank can do. So it's definitely not a there's no finish line for this, right? It's a continuous effort to provide our customers with the best level of service ever. Yep.
Thank you, Kenneth. It's really nice to see that industries are crossing over each other and also building towards a more integrated world where we can expect the bank definitely to provide services that are beyond what the traditional perception of a bank would. Okay, before we move on, let us also hear Lionel's opinion about this matter. Is there anything you'd like to add on, Lionel?
Yeah, I think I totally agree with what Kenneth has shared. I think certainly the technology advancements and the converging of business models, or the attempted convergence of business models is upon us. I wanted to add the perspective of digital creating a very much higher expectation in terms of customer experience. And I think that Maybank has done a very, very good job in terms of taking the lead to define what great customer experience is on both website experience and in a native app. A few years ago, when the refreshed app was released before May, even myself, I was speechless because it was so pleasantly surprising to see that this type of experience is generated by a Malaysian institution, so-called institution, right? Old school. And I think that when we made customer experience the starting point and we work backwards from there, I think that was the first major win for the group. It's not easy to do that because at the time there were lots of parties who were like, yeah, this design works, their design works, but in terms of engagement, in terms of ease of use, actually, I would proudly say that the Maybank app and the website is among the best in the world, not just in the region, right? And people can claim whatever awards, but this is my personal vote. I think that the Maybankers also would believe me and agree with me. Alongside the increase in expectations for customer experience, there is also the rise in alternatives in some cases. In Malaysia, we are quite fortunate in that we maintain a leadership position over more than 5 years now, and even today it's not really a comparison in Malaysia. Having said that, there are other incumbents in other parts of Southeast Asia who are also doing the same thing where they are like ecosystem spreading and working with other people, and they have their own advantages and they have some degree of excellence in terms of the customer experience. So we have done quite well so far in being on our toes and taking lead in terms of defining this excellent digital customer experience. But certainly the alternatives are increasing. You see the digibanks who are applying for licenses now. That's a taste of what's to come, so to speak. And the other thing is, Maybank was famous for having more than 400 branches previously, and the very passively, we didn't make it a big hoo-ha or anything, but we've managed to optimize a lot of our footprint and make the physical and the phygital experience, sorry to borrow a consulting term, but that phygital experience much more real to our bottom line, because the reality is that a lot of people don't really want to go to the branches. So that forced us to adapt. And you can see when you walk into a branch now, you should be there for a particular reason. Like there must be a very good reason why you're going to be at a branch. And I think as a group, that recognition was quite done quite early, and we adapted very well to it. So we achieved efficiencies and alignment in terms of understanding of the role of the branches, and certainly used it to augment the online experience. So you ask younger customers of Maybank, they don't go to the branch. They'll try to avoid going to the branch. And this is no disrespect to the branch, but this is again about customers' high expectations for experience. So more and more, the expectation will be completely straight through processing. They will not accept any physical signature. Right? All these things are part of the cost now. So long story short, those mega trends certainly have brought about this much higher expectations in terms of digital customer experience. And I believe that we are well positioned to keep deploying amazing experiences for our customers. And that makes me really proud to be a Maybanker.
Thank you so much, Lionel. I think Lionel speaks for a lot of us in the millennial generation. Personally speaking, I don't remember the last time I have been to a banking branch, but it doesn't mean that I don't use banking services, right? But what I never thought about, which Lionel brought up, is that I never thought about how banks had to adapt to these new trends and these exciting new changes in the industry that we have that allowed us to enjoy the experience that we do today. So thank you very much, Lionel. Now that we have heard about how far we have all come in this digital era, Miraj, in your opinion, with the expertise you hold, what are some of the digital or technological transformations that you think are worth exploring in this era?
So I think firstly, Lionel, thank you so much for appreciating the May and the work that we have all done together, right? I think all of us equally take pride in what has been achieved, but we also know that it's a long journey, and there's a lot more to be done, and a lot of talent is required to achieve that. So on the IT side, the trends, right? If I have to say, I will start with setting the expectation that customers have. And then how does it translate into what the expectation business would have on IT? And then what are the trends? And then what technologies will help those trends? Yeah. So if you see customers, right, would prefer technologies which can empower them with insights, something that can make the interaction compulsive, an ability to service them proactively, and ability to scale up with their demand or with their needs. And then finally, being able, as a bank, being able to engage them in the moments in their lifestyle, right? So those are the 5 mega customer trends, if I were to say, that a lifestyle bank would have to cater to. And that translates into some demands on IT, right? So these are all demands on IT, how the IT need to respond to these demands. What it means is we need to have technology which is stable, scalable, and extensible. We also need technology which is intelligent. And then we need technology which is all automated. These are the 3 broad expectations on technology. And then if you were to map this to the broad areas that it translates into, so one is the digital technology set, the other is the data science area. And if I were to touch upon cybersecurity is often not discussed enough, but I think that will be one of the mega trend. Because there's so much happening on the mobile itself that becomes, and mobile isn't, like it or not, it's a touch point which is there in everyone's pocket, but it's also a threat because you don't know what apps gets installed, what threats are being carried out. And as a bank, we have opened up to the biggest surface attack, right? So I would say these 3 or 4 trends that areas that every bank or every organization need to focus on. Within Maybank, as part of our M25 vision, we have identified 10 broad technologies and which is mapped back to these spaces, right? So like I said, stable, scalable, extensible technology. So we do work on API platforms. We work on microservice container platforms. We are working, we actually internally, we have built a chatbot platform. And then architecturally, we are moving away from the traditional legacy architecture of I'm going to use some technology jargon here, pardon me for that. We are moving towards an event-driven architecture. Event-driven architecture means, like I said, engage in the moment. You can't achieve that expectation from customer unless you are event-driven. Because the customer is not going to tell you that I need this. You need to detect the moment and you need to engage the customer through an event-based technology. So that's what we are doing in the digital technology space. On the intelligent technology space, we are doing a lot of work on the AI and big data side. So to support statistical analysis, as well as to build ML models, which can then engage with our customers in real time. On the automated tech side, I think it's mainly to respond faster to our customers, right? We're focusing a lot on DevOps automation. We are focusing on robotic process automation. And then we are doing cloud automation, which is basically automation of infrastructure. And then finally, I think the last not touched upon piece is to secure the technology. So we are investing quite a lot on the cybersecurity space. And we do have various roles, things which were not very common in Malaysia. I would say we can proudly say we are the first bank to do something like this. I will not be able to reveal much, but there's a lot of exciting work that we are doing on the cybersecurity space as well. And the good thing is, from a technology perspective, we've also built a program which revolves around these 4 broad categories that I talked about. We've come up with a program called Next Program and a TIP program, which is to source talent and then identify them and place them into these 4 broader spaces: digital, data science, cybersecurity, and cloud. And because we need a lot of these talents to actually take us from where we are today, which we think we are in the leading space already, but I think it's just, the game has just begun. Until M25, we have a long journey and we need a lot more talent. And I would be taking this opportunity to answer any questions you would have later on, to understand more about the next program that we have, where we are trying to source talents within group technology for Maybank.
Thank you very much, Miraj. I think he summarized a lot about what he does in the bank, as well as the opportunities that you can explore if you're interested in this industry. Before we move on, can we also hear from Sukdev, please? Seeing as you are the youngest panelist today, do you have a differing viewpoint to this matter?
I think I echo most of the sentiments that Miraj brought about. I think like cybersecurity is definitely very important, and I'm really excited to hear a lot about the stuff that we're going to do. For me, it's just going to be a very broad stroke. If you know me personally, you know that I'm extremely enthusiastic about blockchain. I think like, especially this past couple of months, looking at cryptocurrency, you know, there's just such a huge boom. Everyone's getting into it. Institutional investors who have previously, you know, said like they're never going to touch crypto are all like balls deep into it, and everyone's just getting into it. It's now a force that you just simply can't reckon with. You can't ignore. Decentralized financing, DeFi, is a big thing now. And there's also, and I think this is also driven a lot by the fact that a lot of people want to move away from institutionalized financing, and they want to support a decentralized system for them to invest in, for them to farm, you know, to yield their returns from. And I think the biggest breakthrough that we had in blockchain, why it's now a very big thing, is the fact that we are moving away from proof of work to proof of stake. Just a short explanation of what that is. Proof of work is the old school Bitcoin, where you had to mine it. You need to have, you know, like really strong hardware, specialized computers to do all these computer calculations and then you get your Bitcoin, you mine it there. But now we've ditched that. We're moving to proof of stake, where it works somewhat like a fixed deposit. I'm oversimplifying this, but it works somewhat like a fixed deposit where you put your money, you stake your crypto there, and you are in turn, you are rewarded with the fees that are normally charged during any transactions or any transfers. So 3 reasons why, blockchain is going to be very big now, since we are moving from proof of work to proof of stake. 1, high gas fees or transfer fees that were initially a big issue now are gone with proof of stake. You look at the Binance Smart Chain, transfers used to be $4 or $5 per transfer, but now it's like 20 cents. Long transfer times, secondly, long transfer times, you don't have that anymore. It's now much quicker. It's like within seconds, you can transfer cryptocurrency. 3, ESG considerations. I think this is very important to a lot of big institutional investors. The fact that now we are moving away from proof of work means we don't have a strong carbon emission when it comes to mining for these cryptocurrencies. And the fact that, like a report came out like last month about how the fact that currently the carbon emissions from Bitcoin mining itself is comparable to a large scale European country is quite worrying. And I'm very happy that we're moving towards, away from that. And like examples of where, like blockchain can be very important in finance or outside of finance. So one place where it's going to be quite prominent in is international bank transfers or settlements. I'm sure you guys have heard of SWIFT. They've been, whenever you make an international transfer, I'm sure you've seen the SWIFT code or whatever it is. They've been the longest, for decades, they've been handling international transactions, and they charge a lot for it. I see blockchain as a very valid threat to that. And I think that, it can make our international transfers and settlements way more efficient. And even now with the vaccination programs that we have in Malaysia and Singapore, you've seen that, the Singaporean and Malaysian government have announced that they're actually leveraging on a blockchain, a public ledger, a centralized ledger to actually keep track of the vaccines, the doses, and even to the detail of which, what is the serial number of the vaccine can be found on the blockchain, can be found on the distributed ledger. So I really think blockchain is definitely, going to play a huge part of our future as we move towards a more digitized environment. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Thanks, Vinny.
Thank you, Sukdev. So I was so sure that I would hear something different, and surely enough, I heard something very, very different from Sukdev. So I bet you would have never imagined that you would join a banking and financial services panel to hear about cryptocurrency and also ESG. Thank you very much, Sukdev, for your question.
Sorry, Vinny, I just want to add.
Yes,
sorry,
please,
Vinny,
Miraj.
I just want to add some point to what Sukdev said, right? So I didn't make a mention on the blockchain. However, just to share with everyone here, Maybank dabbled with blockchain as a technology somewhere in 2015, 2016. As early as 2016, we did a proof of concept using blockchain for cross-border transfer, actually. That was the use case which tried. We've also worked on projects around using blockchain to do duplicate invoice financing checks. We've also done some project around cross-border transfer for a specific corridor. However, yeah, it's an exciting technology. However, the place where we are, the business that we are into, and the customers that we touch, right? We are very focused on technologies that can help improve customer experience. And hence, blockchain is something that we are trying to equip ourselves with the knowledge and the skill and be ready and be prepared. And when it becomes mainstream, surely we'll be ready to adopt it. So there's opportunity there as well.
Thank you, Miraj. That is a really good summary of what you have of the blockchain technology. And I think we definitely look forward to traditional bank going towards the future where we utilize blockchain technology. So, well, the last question, okay, before I move on to the last question, I would just like to remind all the participants here today, if you have any question for either one of our panelists or our panel in general, please post your questions in the chat box and it will be addressed very, very soon in the open Q&A session. Okay. Well, the last question that I have for the panel today is something that I believe our participants, including myself, would be interested to know given our interest to embark in the digital and technological industry. So here it goes. The digital realm is traditionally perceived to be dominated by men in general. with the idea that this is something that they would be able to do better. What are your thoughts on this in the current era and within your workplace? Can we please hear from Lionel?
Okay. I wanted to quote one of the gaming industry greats, John Carmack, the creator of Doom. He was once asked during a forum what he's doing about addressing the gender gap in the teams that he hires. His response was very simple. We have a really hard time hiring people with the right skills. How you look does not matter at all. So in a similar vein, in digital, if there are roles which require a particular skill, a particular ability, it's not about, I personally don't think it's about gender at all. I think it's about clarity of communication. It's about ability to synthesize information, to contextualize the complexities around digital. Because it's not, stuff that you read, it's not as easy as what journalists write down. There are a lot of dependencies. There are a lot of system engineering related issues. There are a lot of business related issues, which are not gender specific. I totally disagree with the notion that men are able to do this better. If there was a lady, and is very capable and is has the skills and the abilities, it's not even a consideration, to take her on board, right? Why I echo John Carmack's reply was that he did it basically very functionally. The reality is there is a lot of work to be done, and there is, having trouble finding the people with the right set of skills to fill those positions. It matters not how you look like, right? So that's my perspective. I basically agree with his position on the issue, and I restate that I don't agree with the notion that because it currently is predominantly men, therefore men are better at this. I totally disagree with that notion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lionel. That is especially reassuring for me, seeing as I am looking to build a career in the digital industry myself as well. Okay, due to time's constraint, let us move on to answer some of the questions from the chat box. So I see this question in the chat box from Muhammad Ismat Kayo. And he asked, how do you see the banking space will look like? As you mentioned, digital banking licenses are now being released by BNM. What is Maybank doing to adapt to this situation specifically? Okay, perhaps we can have Kenneth to take this question, please.
Sure. I guess at the end of the day, before we step into what the digital banking, what kind of differentiation in play the digital banking license will deploy in Malaysia, we got to look at what the customer actually needs, right? And how we are deploying some of these services. So for instance, a digibank will allow you to create an account almost instantly online through an app. A digital bank will allow you to do funds transfer, right? A digital bank will allow you to do overseas remittances, to get a loan, to even maybe check your balances and have all these little other features. And if I could draw references to N26, they have a micro savings module, they have cool benefits, lifestyle verticals, and also the ability to sort of get very low, very simple banking products, right? Just at your fingertips. If you look at what we've done today with May, then our new app especially, we offer all those services, all those products and services, including the lifestyle element, including tools and modules that allow you to improve the way you manage your money. So from a proposition standpoint, we're basically on level even with the likes of N26. However, when you look at banking per se, and if you dive deeper into the technicalities, when you talk about offering a loan, right? Who can do that in the most competitive manner in terms of interest rates? Definitely a bank like Maybank, who has a massive balance sheet, very good portfolio management, And as a result, if you look at the interest rates that some of the digibanks give, they can say, oh, it's late payment fees. But effectively, when you roll out those fees and you look at the rates that you're being charged, it's far beyond what a typical bank will even offer to you. So it has to be a holistic proposition to the customer, not just from a technology standpoint, not just from a digital format, but also the product and services, right? In terms of the rates, in terms of the fit to your particular life stage, not just a customer, but not just an individual, but also our SMEs and corporate banking. So for us, yes, digital bank license is around the corner. We have a lot of very interesting applicants, but so long as we stay true to our intents and purposes, which is to provide you financial products and services which will fulfill your life and also at a very competitive rate, I think we're still in a stage where we believe that this is not so, it's definitely going to be very interesting, but so long as we focus on what we're good at, we believe that we'll definitely be able to still remain to still be at the top spot, and more importantly, still be able to deliver those products and services that our customers need. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kenneth. Thank you very much, Kenneth, for your viewpoint. I think it is true that we have to not only be swayed by a certain new trend that is upcoming, but it's also important to evaluate the holistic scenario of what it actually is and how it affects the consumer as a whole. So, okay. So now that everyone has heard about the tech trends and the experiences from our panelists today, graduates in the chat box are already asking, how do we go about starting our journey on this? Miraj has briefly highlighted this. Miraj, would you like to tell our audience what the next program is all about?
Yeah, sure. So next graduate program is basically our attempt to actually attract graduate from the best of universities and basically give them an environment where we can create skills which are relevant to the future. So like I said, those are the four broad areas: cybersecurity, digital, cloud, as well as data science. These are the four broad areas. And we've come up with a program, a rigorous program, where the individuals or the graduates will be made to go through each of these spaces, meaning which they will get they'll get to experience cybersecurity skills, what the cybersecurity specialists do on a day-to-day basis, attacking systems, then defending systems, then doing simulations, doing forensics. We will also take them through the digital space where they will get to code for the lifestyle mobile app, build services or do engineering around technology where you got to deal with billions of records, and how do you respond to a scenario where you have millions and millions of customers logging in at the same time onto a system, right? So you'll go through a rigorous exercise in the digital space as well. And then around the data science as well, we have come up with some areas where we are actually working on building a data science platform where we are trying to democratize data as well as democratize algorithms, and also democratize insights coming out of these algorithms. So we will definitely get these graduates to go through that exercise where there will be certain business problems, and we will see how to best apply data science to those business problems. And lastly, cloud. Cloud is something that we are committed as we go into M25. We already dabble in cloud. We use AWS, we have Azure, we do some development on cloud, and we have certified experts on cloud who can also be grooming this talent around the cloud adoption for Maybank.
Thank you, Miraj.
So yeah, so I hope we get to see a lot of interest at the end of the session for people to join the next grad program.
Thank you, Miraj. Okay, so that sums up all the questions that we will be taking from our audience today. If you have any unanswered question from today's session, please feel free to head on to My Roaring Careers on Instagram and DM us your questions. Or we will be also having a chit chat session at 8 p.m. later. So do drop by our virtual booth session and you can chat with our Maybankers there. So I would like to extend a huge thank you to all our speakers today, Lionel Ho, Kenneth Lim, Miraj Khan, and Sukhdev Malhi for spending their time to be with us here today in this session. And of course, Graduan and UKEC for organizing it. This has been an insightful session, and I'm sure that everyone has benefited greatly from it. Now, I have one final announcement to make before we close off today's session. I'm proud to announce that Maybank will be launching a brand new in-house tech graduate program, as Miraj has mentioned, which is the Next Tech Expert Program, also known as the NEXT program. Since all of you here have taken the time to join us today, good news. All of you who are present here today will have first dibs to apply for this program. The link to the application form will be shared with you in the chat, and this form is only exclusive to those of you who are present in this session. The form will only be active for the next 30 minutes, so do sign up now before this exclusive opportunity expires. And maybe I'll be seeing some of you in the bank soon, hopefully. Okay, so this marks the end of our session today. Thank you once again to all our speakers, Lionel, Kenneth, Miraj, and Sukhdev, who shared their insights and experiences with us today, and also to our participants who had taken the time to join us today. I hope you have learned tremendously from this session and noted down all the advices they have given. Thank you very much and have a great weekend ahead. Stay safe and we hope to see you soon. Don't forget to drop by to our virtual booth later at 8 p.m. I will now hand the virtual floor back to Yin Wei.
Yep.
Thank you, Yin
Thank
Wei.
you, Winnie. Thank you, Winnie, and the panelists for that insightful session. So we've come to an end to this webinar, and we hope you've all learned a lot. So here is a kind reminder that CIMB will be having their live webinar later at 8 p.m. on the CIMB Complete Banker program. So if you'd like to find out more about that, do tune in later. You may also find the career fair itinerary on the live webinars on Graduan's website. Once again, thank you all for tuning in.
Take care. Bye.